What if everything you believe about happiness is wrong? What if trauma isn't what is holding you back, and your past isn't the reason you can't change your life? This book throws a stone into the calm pond of self-help wisdom, and the ripples do not stop. The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga is not your usual self-improvement book. It does not sugarcoat. It does not comfort. It challenges. And it does that through a bold conversation between a young man and a philosopher that reads like a Socratic tennis match. The young man is frustrated with life, burdened by trauma, anxiety, and low self-worth. The philosopher calmly insists that none of these things are real constraints. They are choices. Yes, choices. The central idea of the book is based on Adlerian psychology. Not Freud, not Jung, Adler, a name you probably skipped over in psychology class. But here, Adler's ideas become the sharp blade that cuts through our assumptions. The book says people fabricate anger, not feel. Fabricate. It says trauma is an excuse, not a cause. It says you can be happy right now without fixing the past, without proving yourself to others. Sounds insane, right? But the more you read, the more this madness begins to feel like clarity. One quote that really hits hard is, "People are not driven by past causes, but move toward goals which they themselves set." This single sentence flips everything. You are not broken because of your childhood. You are choosing to believe you are broken because it gives you a reason not to try. It is easier to say, "I am this way because of my past," than to accept the terrifying power of freedom. The philosopher calls this teleology, the idea that we move toward goals rather than being dragged by our past. Let us pause here and take in what readers online are saying. On Goodreads, the book holds a solid 4.2 out of 5 from over 50,000 ratings. One reviewer wrote, "This book pissed me off, then healed me." Another said, "It felt like talking to a therapist who does not coddle but actually helps." On Amazon, the comments range from life-altering to dangerous, depending on how deeply the ideas shake your beliefs. One person even said, "I had to stop halfway and cry. Then pick it back up and finish it with a sense of peace I have never known." And honestly, the book does provoke. It says you are free, but that freedom is scary. One of the most powerful anecdotes is when the philosopher explains how a child might choose to stay sick to avoid school. It is not about the sickness itself. It is the goal to stay home, avoid anxiety, avoid failure. The sickness becomes a tool. We do the same in our adult lives, the book argues. We avoid relationships by calling ourselves shy. We avoid challenges by claiming trauma. The philosopher is not denying our pain. He is denying that pain has to define us. Another gem from the book is, "All problems are interpersonal relationship problems." That is a wild claim. But the longer you think about it, the more it sticks. Your anxiety at work, your fear of judgment, your jealousy, your guilt ? All tied to how you relate to others. The philosopher says that once you stop seeking recognition, you find peace. You don't need to be liked to be happy. You just need to live in line with your own values. That is the courage the title refers to. The courage to be disliked is the courage to be free. There is a beautiful moment when the young man yells, "But that would mean I have to take responsibility for my entire life." And the philosopher, calm as ever, replies, "Yes." That is precisely the point. That hit me like a truck. We spend so much time looking for who to blame, what to fix, what to heal. This book says healing begins the moment you stop looking backward. The only thing you need is the will to live differently, now. Some reviewers, of course, push back. They say the book oversimplifies trauma. That not everyone can just decide to be happy. That privilege and structural issues matter. And they are right. But the philosopher might argue that those are still beliefs. Powerful ones. But beliefs nonetheless. If you believe you cannot be happy until the world changes, you have given your power away. The book does not tell you to ignore the world's problems. It tells you to start where you are, with what you can control, your own decisions. There is also a beautiful explanation of community feeling. Adler believed that the healthiest way to live is to feel part of a community, to contribute to others without competing with them. The book uses the metaphor of a horizontal relationship, not looking down on others, not feeling inferior, just being with them. Equal. It is such a simple idea, but it cuts deep, especially in a world obsessed with comparison, likes, and validation. The writing style is simple, but do not let that fool you. The back and forth dialogue makes it feel like a script, like something you could listen to in a podcast or watch in a two-person play. Firm but calm, provocative but respectful. And the format makes it very easy to digest complex ideas without drowning in jargon. One particularly unforgettable part is when the philosopher says, "You are not the center of the world." He says this to help the young man stop obsessing over how others see him. It is humbling, but freeing. If you are not the center, you are also not constantly being judged. People are thinking about their own problems, not your flaws. Letting go of the need to be seen in a certain way is the first step toward living for yourself. Now, this book is not going to give you a step-by-step guide. There is no checklist, no 5 habits or morning routine hacks. What it gives is a challenge, a new lens, and that might be the most valuable thing of all. Because once you see your life through this lens, it is hard to go back. You might start catching yourself in the act of blaming your past. You might pause before saying, "I can't." And in that pause, you'll hear the voice of the philosopher quietly asking, "Or won't?" The courage to be disliked does not want to make you feel good. It wants to make you wake up. And in that sense, it does something rare in the world of self-help. It gives you back your power, not with motivational quotes, but with uncomfortable truth. You can change, right now, if you want to, but you have to give up your reasons for not changing. That is the price of freedom. If you are tired of self-help books that pamper your excuses, this one will hit different. It is not for everyone, but maybe, just maybe, it is exactly what you need. Because the truth is, the moment you find the courage to be disliked, you also find the courage to be truly yourself. And that, more than anything, might be the beginning of happiness. This is Intellings, where books open minds and minds reshape lives. If this review sparked something in you, make sure to subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share it with someone who needs a jolt of perspective. Until next time, keep reading and keep thinking.